so the next project on the bench is going to be this Mexican jazz bass, and it's a cool color. I don't know what color that is, but anyway, this thing got wet. It was in the case, and the case got really wet, and I guess it was hanging out in there kind of damp for a long time. Not exactly sure all what happened, but the issue is this headstock just bent up like pretty severely, so it's got a pretty big kink down here in the bottom of the headstock, and the whole thing's angled up. I don't know if you can see it. You can kind of see it there. Like, it's pretty severe. And I think if you look at it this way, like the tip of that headstock is like above the fingerboard. You can see it there pretty good. Like, it's pretty crazy. So otherwise the neck looks pretty good. It's not bad. I was expecting the neck to be a little more wonky, but it's really just the headstock that just bent way up. So we're going to take everything apart on it and cook it. We're going to cook the headstock and clamp it. Let's try to straighten this guy out. There's a little bit of finish damage on it. Maybe we'll try to fix that up, or I might overspray the headstock face with some satin lacquer or something just to fix that up and make it look nicer. All right, just to show you like how much we're dealing with here. Look at how much that headstock is. Boing. The neck isn't too bad, but there is a pretty good up bow. I took the all the tension out of the rod out of it, and it does up bow pretty good. So I'm gonna go after the whole neck for the most part and heat it all up. And then I've kind of just dry run this situation, my setup where I'm gonna clamp down the headstock and clamp the block down to this block. And then I've got a kind of a neck caul that I've used and I put it under there. It's a little bit taller than these blocks. So I'm gonna put a little bit of a back bow into it. After I get it all heated up and I clamp it down flat. But I just want to test run it because, anytime you're trying to straighten the neck or get a kink out or whatever, it's easy to kink it the wrong way and put a single spot kink in the neck somewhere and not get a nice even rebending of it. So I just want to make sure that I got it to where when I lock it down, I get a nice even slight back bow in the whole entire neck. And that way, hopefully, I think it was straightening out with the rod, but it takes a lot of rod to get this thing straight now. So we're going to give it a little cook job, straighten it out. What I'm going to do is take this old heat pad and I'm going to wrap it around the neck and tie it up with a rope. And I'm just going to put it on a high setting and let it sit for a while. And that just helps get the ball rolling on heating it. It's not nearly enough heat to get it to move, but it'll at least get it started. And then I'll use a heat gun and some other techniques and slowly get it up to temperature and check it with the digital thermometer gun. And when I get it up to, when it's consistently 180, 190, getting up there pretty good, it should be pliable enough that we can get it to bend. I'm here heating up the neck. I've kind of got this hot plate with a big piece of metal that I found. I used to have a longer one with like a double hot plate that worked great. I need to get that set up going again, or I could just set the neck on it, turn the hot plate up very low and just let it cook, kind of cover it with some foil or whatever and make a neck oven. But like I said, I got this old heating pad wrapped up on here. It's getting kind of hot down there, but I just kind of tied it all up and wrapped it up for an hour or so, let it cook on high.
It's up to 120, 125. And it's good. Any kind of new heating pad these days won't do anything because they're so worthless. So if you want to find a good heating pad, like go to a thrift store and find an old one that actually gets hot. That is, of course, far too dangerous for today's world to have a heating pad that actually heats something. So just take it, just trying to get that heat started. With anything like this kind of work, bending a neck, flipping a board, it's always slow going.
It gets it up to about 160 so that's pretty good. So turn that off, and it's getting pretty warm. So that heating pad works pretty good. I can put it back on my hot plate here, but mainly what I'm going to do is start just heat gunning it. And I need to get it up, another 25 degrees or so, 190. So I kind of got this cardboard caul here that I can just kind of like use to kind of maintain the heat. Mainly this is kind of the area that really needs to get the juice, that headstock. These jazz base necks are so thin around this neck area, or the nut area, it really went. So, just gonna start cooking this whole thing. And it takes a little while, it's just time and flip it around and do the fingerboard side of things.
Another way I could go about it is, I can set this down, close this off.
Hot, hot, hot. Too much there. There we go. Not quite so much bow on it. A little bit of back bow, but not too much. Straight, mostly just straight. Too much back bow right in that first position. The hotter you get a spot, the faster it'll bend. So that's why you want to evenly get everything really warm and hot so that it doesn't, if you get one spot really hot, it'll bend really fast and everything else will stay the way it is and not bend. So you want a slight bend, but evenly all up and down the neck. A nice little bit of back bow in this neck without any tension on it would be, on a jazz bass. By the time you string it up and tune it, there's going to be plenty of tension pulling it back up again. So working on this bass neck, and yeah, my first clamping job on it did pretty good. I got a nice even back bow to the neck now, just a hair without any rod engaged, and of course no tension on it at the moment. And the headstock leveled out pretty good, about 95% or so. It was pretty flat. But I went back at it a little bit, and I just kind of heated this area here on this half of the headstock up really nice, both top and back. I got it up, again, trying to get that core temperature of the wood up to about, 190 to 200, somewhere in there. So I've kind of redid this, reheated it, and then I got this little wedge. It's just like a vinyl glue spreader thing wedge that I have that I put under this end so that I could get it down, you know, a little beyond flat. And I'll just let it sit like that probably overnight. After this thing had got all bent, he took it to somebody who just did a truss rod adjustment on it, and they just cranked the rod really tight to straighten the neck out and said, "There you go, all fixed." Even though the headstock was all bent up and like the A string was just rattling because it wasn't even sitting on the nut because the angle was so bad. Anyway, so hopefully we got her all straightened out. All right, so we're continuing on with this base neck. I went after that headstock a couple of times, and that's as good as I could get it. It's 90% or so flatter for sure. I mean, it's considerably flatter. So it may be the case that this thing, the way that's the grain of the neck is so flat that it always had a little bit of a kink to it. It wouldn't be totally abnormal on a Fender bass like this, especially a jazz bass with their thin nuts and not a lot of wood, that tension would have lifted that headstock a bit. So, but I think we got it down enough. It seems pretty stiff. If I try to bend it back up, it stays put. So hopefully with the tension on it, I'm sure it'll pop up a little, but it'll be within the range of everything working properly again. Putting a new nut on it, because the original was all cracked in multiple pieces, and I put a few coats of satin lacquer on the headstock and got it looking a lot better. And the whole neck as a whole got a nice, just a real smooth back bow in it, where it was up-bowed considerably without any tension on the rod. And it took pretty much the whole rod to get it straightened out. So it came out pretty good. It is not perfectly flat, but it's way better than it was. And I tried it a couple times. I gave it a couple heat and clamps, and that's as good as I could get it. But at least now we got a nice break on all the strings over the nut. The A string is going down. It's got a nice angle on it, and it's playing perfectly fine. Put a new nut on there, new bone nut. And got some back bow into the neck. And then when I strung it and tuned it, it pulled up nicely. I just had to tighten the rod just about a half a turn, if that. And it's nice and straight now. And our headstock is at least at an angle that works. And the guy, whoever worked on this before, they put a brand new set of strings on, and they only put like one wrap around the posts. And as anyone who plays Fender basses knows, especially on this A string, you got to put a lot of wraps on it and wind that coil all the way down to the bottom of the post as close as you can to get that angle of that. Unless you want to add another string tree to it. But that's kind of the norm on a Fender bass. So more wraps is better. But she came out good. She's definitely playable now. Sounds good, plays nice, and we will call the owner and tell him to come pick her up. Thanks for watching.